Welcome to Garland Games. My name is Dana and I'm so happy to have you here today. In our last episode, we decorated a coastal home for Hornsby. And in this episode, we're actually going to create a couple of shops along the street right next to the coastal home that we did. We got a lot of things in the 2.0 that I wanted to be able to use in the shop. So we're going to make a bookstore and then like a canning or preserve store on the opposite side. And we're going to use some of the same items that we used in the main entrance build on the side of these buildings, but we're going to include a few new things that I know I hate to sound repetitive, but that I saw Horrible Gaming, Nora, use on some of her builds, which inspired me to use them as well. We're going to use some of the wide display cases and some different signage and putting items out and that sort of thing and layering in order to create the look of two different shops down that street. Again, I am using the snowy street path from Collin Crossing, which I'll have linked below. I'll also have Nora's channel linked below if you want to check out any of her videos. Laying the path takes a really long time in this video, and I know that can be a little bit boring, so I do apologize. I will play a little bit of music while we're laying the paths, and then I will come back to you and explain how I do the store builds. For starting the store builds, I like to get on the second level and lay down the paths that I'm going to lay before I start putting the items. I'm using the wide display cabinet that we got in the 2.0, but also the wedding organ because that's such a tall item in order to create the look of a building filled in, I guess you could say. And then the planters in the back where the beach is at so that when you're walking along the beach, it does look like it got filled in. And I did decide to put some of the wide displays on the side, and I also used the cover counter, which I was very pleasantly surprised how the covered counter looked in front of the wide displays. I thought it looked amazing, especially when you're looking at it from the side, like you're going up this street and that's all you're seeing. Kind of, because there was a gap in between, it kind of appears like in between the two cover counters there's a door. I like that a lot. I thought that looked really cool in the build. So I was pleasantly surprised how that actually came out. I had found these panels and I'll link those codes as well. They'll be on my card. darlinggames.carrd.co will be all the path codes and the custom codes that I used on this island. And I did find those panels and decided to use those to make it look like it was kind of like a townhome. The darker build, the darker wide panels are the bookstore. I thought the darker panels lent themselves more to a bookstore type theme. And then I end up changing the color and using some of the lighter ones over on the other side to create I don't know if you call it a preserve shop or a canning shop, like where you get jams and jellies and that kind of stuff. We put that over on this side. So I changed the color because I thought it looked a little more realistic, having the buildings be different colors. And again, used the organ, but just used it in the other color. And again, the covered counters, but used them in a different color, which I really liked the white and the light brown color as well. So now I'm probably going to end up doing a build in the future with the honey colored counters because I think it makes it look like, I don't know, like an old main street and like some of the towns that haven't been updated where they have those shop windows that kind of jut out to the side that you can look in those big picture windows. That's what this kind of reminded me of, and I really, really liked it. I thought it turned out super nice. And I just cleared a little spot on either side of the street to be able to put the trees and the shrubs, kind of like what I did on the entrance build, to make sure they're a little more uniform than what they would be if you were doing like a cottage core or a forest core. When you're doing the city core, I like to have it a little bit more symmetrical. And even if it's not symmetrical, have it look a little more formal, I guess you could say. So having them lined on the side of a street like you would see in a city. I know some of the roads that they redo in our city, when they redo them, they'll put like the same kind of lights all the way down the street and the same kind of shrubbery and greenery and stuff in the middle of the roads, that sort of thing. So that's what I had decided to do here. Now I chose to put it on the side of the road. You could choose to make 2 roads going up and then put all the greenery in the middle of the roads. Because I wanted to do that coastal home on the right side, I didn't feel like I had enough room to be able to do that. Instead, I just chose to make the 1 road up and have the shrubbery and trees and all that stuff on either side of the road. And my plan for the back of this road is, I think, to go up to an incline. I'd like to make a subway. So I'm trying to figure out how I can do a subway. I also want to do a post office, and back behind the resident services there, I want to make a 2nd level that has streets and things that maybe I can put the post office back there. But I'm still trying to figure out the layout of the city. I don't want the entire island to be a city, because as you get towards the back of the island, it's going to be more out in the country where the villagers live. But up in this part, I want it to definitely feel more like a city. And if you fill in the buildings with like the wide panels or the bookshelves or any other of those tall items, if you fill them in back behind, then as you walk by them, it appears that they're solid rather than having like a big gap in the middle. So I do like the way it looks having the wide panels, or the wide display shelves, I guess they're called. I like the way it looks having them back behind so that the building looks solid and it doesn't look like it's missing pieces. I decided to use an organ on the top as well, kind of putting it right above the front door. Because I envision the organ being the front door of this particular building, because the way it indents like that, it kind of looks like as you walk in under where the organ's at is where the front door would be. I do like the way that looks. I think the organ looks really cool, and it's kind of funny when your villagers stop at the side of the street and play the organ because they can reach it and access it. It's really cute. I did put 2 items on the display shelves and then 2 items on the cover counters as well. I ended up going back up top because when I had walked by it, I realized you could see the top display shelves and you could see there was nothing in them. So I decided, at least in the front part, just to put like a book type item because of the way you were able to see it as you walked by, just to make it look a little more realistic, like they were windows and they had books up in the upstairs windows as well. On the opposite side where I have the preserve shop that I'm going to be creating, I don't do that over there only because as you walk by it, you couldn't really see it. So I didn't feel like it was necessary, but for some reason on the right side, as you walked by it, you could see that there was nothing in it. And the items I used were like, we got those new scrapbooks, the books that are strapped, they have the straps around them, the paper bundle, the regular books that we had before. I just used like a mix and match of all those different types of books in order to make it appear like it's a bookstore. Where the street ended, I decided that would be a good place for Hornsby to have his motor scooter. So that's what we put there, just have that be like a parking space for that villager's home. I thought that was kind of cute. It was a space that I wasn't really sure what to do with, so I just decided to make it a parking space for the villager. And I use all the same bushes and trees and light posts and crosswalks and all that kind of stuff that I had used on the entrance build as well, because the entrance is literally just right to the left of this. So it just continues exactly what the same theme of the entrance was. And I used the same items, the same colors, that sort of thing, and made sure that I could get around everything so that you could comfortably walk through the city and not have to worry about getting stuck places. The utility poles being layered back behind some of the buildings makes it look very realistic and very city feeling, so I really like those. And I felt like the Moroccan tables, I used a couple different Moroccan tables in this build because I feel like they're like the perfect size and you can put different kinds of chairs with them and they look really nice. And I use another one right here. So the one I use like the boxy stools and the other ones I use the Moroccan footrests, and I thought they were super cute. So I'm just trying to like align them, make sure that they align properly so that they look like they belong exactly there. So you can see what I mean about those panels, making it look like a little townhouse. So I liked the addition of those panels. I thought that they did something. They really helped the build. They made it look really nice. And then I start on the jelly or preserve shop and start putting like all the different kinds of jams. I also use the pickled veggies and the coconut oil. I think it's coconut oil that you can make. I use those because they were jars. I just put those, but I put them kind of behind. But the primary thing that you see is going to be all the jams that we have in game. So I just used all the different colors that you can craft, and I crafted them. I put these little shopping baskets out there because I thought that looked really appropriate. Like if you were coming into the shop, you just grab a shopping basket and go in, kind of like an old-fashioned shop or like a mom and pop shop that you have locally in a city is kind of what I envisioned this area looking like. And I used the party lights down the street. I've seen a few times like in Pinterest or Instagram, just different people using party lights down a street like that. It looks so neat at night, but it looks really nice. It just surrounds the street, and with the street being north and south like that, you can you go underneath the party lights. It just has like a really neat feel to it. And once again, I dropped the snowflakes around because I felt like that looks really nice and makes it, I don't know, it just gives it kind of a little something extra. So I like dropping the snowflakes around the area. That is it for the build. I hope you really enjoyed it. And if you did, please like and subscribe to my channel and support me as a content creator. I will be continuing to make more builds. Not sure what the next build is going to be on this island, but there will be one coming out shortly. And if you didn't watch the one before this, where we had 2 before, the entrance and the coastal villager home, please go back to the playlist. They're all right there in the playlist, and you can watch all of them of the series. But I will be showing you everything I do on this island and eventually taking an island tour. With that, you have a great day. Thank you. Bye.